process further. Plus, a lot of residents or title will go, this doesn't close till next week, I'll address this right now. Not necessarily letting you know whether or not something's gonna bubble up here in the 11th hour, now all of a sudden you're not closing that time, or you have an issue to address. So, wins, let's start with that, because I have a list of stuff. So go ahead, I'm listening.
Finally rid of my lady from 123 West 27th Street.
'Cause
I had to deal with her on 2 different deals because she bought one of mine
Right.
and then she sold hers. I swear that woman texts me at least 42 times a day, like no joke. Yesterday I went home, my daughter was like, "Why are you so happy?" I was like, "Cindy is gone."
That's great, and you got paid for it, that's a good thing.
Yes,
She
I
wants
was,
to sell her trailer.
no, she better not. I'm changing my number. I'm blocking
Yeah,
her phone
all the
number.
way
No,
this morning,
no.
probably did such a good job, because you became her best friend and her realtor, all at once. All right, what else? Any new contracts, any new buyers, any new anything?
Closing tomorrow,
On?
Winchester.
Oh,
Nice.
We had it fallen apart at one point because appraisal in Lakewood came back $10,000. Under appraised, just so you know what's happening right now. Probably because the listing agent did not show up. Because I was a buyer agent on this one. And, but we got it done, we had to do some creative renegotiation. And I will say I worked with an awesome realtor on the other end, so he was phenomenal.
where is he from?
He is the Holton Group.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Holton
a,
what?
Steve, he's a real cool guy, very cool guy.
Might be worth having coffee
Yeah.
or lunch.
Yeah, I want to with him. We actually have a cocktail plan because we're gonna meet up. Because this was a very challenging deal because his listing fell apart once already due to a buyer's
I would
financing.
say like 6.
Second time.
6?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great, because remember, this
So-
is, nobody does anything during the holidays, right?
We'll be at 187.
And just so you guys know, my
That's
deal
amazing.
for Winchester, I got it under contract on December 1st and we're closing on the 29th.
Nice.
Nice. Hmm.
Conventional, no inspections.
December 1st?
December 1st.
Oh, that's impressive.
29 details.
She's awesome.
Yeah, that's good. Definitely contact that agent. See if we have opportunity. Tell the Althea story, where she got the whole brokerage under her downline. She makes $1 million a year. Everybody knows that story. Okay, good. Anything else? All right. So, mold. What's your thoughts about mold?
I have a mold remediation guy.
Okay. What else?
Don't,
What else about
don't
mold?
know anything about mold until it has been tested.
Right.
Okay, what else about mold?
Super easy to get rid of.
Pardon me?
It's really easy to get rid of.
Yep, what else? So the first thing that, you know, when they're filling out those residential property disclosures and they go mold. Okay, so let me be metaphoric. When you have an inspection, is any house perfect, including new construction?
No.
No. So the same standard fits with, every house has mold. My house has mold. Your house has mold. Your dwelling has mold. Everybody's house has mold. So you say mold, and all of a sudden it like sets an alarm off. Okay, so this has come up more than once with you guys with the mold. Okay, so you're not supposed to put your hands on the residential property disclosures when you're filling them out, correct?
Correct.
That is for the seller to, you don't put your fingerprints on it whatsoever. So they get down to is there any mold in the house? And at one point they said, yeah, there was mold in the corner of the shower, so yeah, there's mold. You know, 3 things of Tilex and the mold now disappears. The only time mold is a hazard is if it's black mold. So you're opening a can of worms when you check off there that there is mold in the house, because everybody is alarmed. So it is your job to educate your clients on what mold is. So much like you're educating your buyers when you do an inspection, the inspector is going to pick this house apart. This is his job. No house is perfect. No human is perfect. No haircut is perfect. Every house has mold. Every single one. So you've got to be very, very careful that you're very clear on what that looks like. There are different types of mold. Mold is the presence of moisture. So it's going to show up if you didn't vent it out of the house but into the attic or into the garage. We experienced that last night. We saw, because we're doing a bathroom renovation. Again, Every house has mold. So if you put that in there, just like lead-based paint, if it was built before,
1970.
Sorry.
78.
It's 1978.
okay, it has lead-based paint in the house. So when they're filling out the lead-based paint disclosure, do you actively know of any lead-based paint in the house? No, but you can assume, which we rarely do, that if it's built before that time period, that whatever was painted at one point has lead in it, okay? So, the issue that seems to keep coming up is like, just be very, very clear on what mold is. Explain to them that there's mold everywhere. If it's black mold, it's going to look differently than the other type of mold. If they don't know what type of mold it is, don't check out that there's mold in the house and then have your buyers freak out. If you're bringing the buyer in, explain to them what mold is. Like, if this is something that can be remediated, we see a presence of it. If it's not dangerous mold, Tilex or bleach, it wipes it away, they get rid of it. Seller and seller's agent contacts the buyer's agent and says, we got rid of it, you can come by and check it, it's gone. If they can't get rid of it with a very simple method, then it has to be tested because now it cannot be remediated with just a very simple method. Questions?
I feel like we should have some type of guide that we can, or website we can direct people to, like the sellers especially.
that.
If it's not black mold and you haven't had it tested, I don't think it's something you necessarily have to put on the disclosures if it's something that's wipeable and cleanable. But if it's something that's definitely you think is a hazard, and they're the ones that see it every day, so there should be a website we can direct them to that have like photos, different kinds, here. Go
So-
over this before you fill that out and put yes, not knowing that it's really nothing, you know, it's just because your bathroom's not working great, you know what I mean? You use some Tilex, like you said, like wipe it out. So I feel like people get alarmed easily, and if we can remedy that up front, that'll be a lot easier.
So let's go one step beyond. So now, there's mold in the house and everybody's alarmed, right? Now we're gonna get to my next thing, which is, everybody needs to explain to their clients, particularly first-time home buyers, what is the process of entering into a legally binding agreement? This is something else that keeps coming up, and I'm sure you can tell by the look on my face and the tone of my voice that it's starting to get a little old. You cannot have somebody come in and buy a house, do an inspection, and then go, oh my God, I can't do it, I'm out of here, I can't do it, tear up the contract. If you guys are not explaining to your clients exactly what they're doing, that's on you. Sorry. Cold hard truth. You're not explaining to them that this is exactly how this works, that this is exactly how this goes. You are entering into a legal binding agreement. Furthermore, as soon as they start to panic and freak out and their head starts spinning, it's your job to pull them back in and go, hey, every house has mold, every house has problems, every house has issues. So at this point, if they're willing to remedy everything, now what is your takeaway from that? So you get back an inspection, there's a list of things that have to be addressed. You send that over to your buyer goes, oh my God, what am I gonna do? What do you do next?
My first thing is, you should always have a conversation, tee up your buyer. We're looking for stuff, health, structure, or safety. That is it. Cosmetics, we don't care about. You know, stuff like that. Health, structure, safety, major issues. If we get it back with some major issues on it, we have a few routes we can take. Then I explain, like, we can fix it, the seller can fix it, we can meet in the middle and figure out who's gonna fix what or how much of what, or, you know, you assume, you know, all violations.
Exactly.
And I'm doing it wrong, and then worst case scenario, if it's something like, you know, a foundation issue and the seller's not willing to fix it, and it is a, you know, structural issue.
What gets you out of a contract as a contingency? What are the three things that get you out of a contract?
Financing, appraisal, and inspection.
Correct. So, if you're doing an inspection, right, and you get a list of things that are wrong with the property, and you look at it and go, oh, there's too much wrong with this house. Are you out? Are you
No,
allowed to get out? Are you?
It depends how you word it, honestly. I mean, I put in, I put in my contract contingent upon findings from home inspection, so the other agent knows, like, we're concerned going in, let's see how this goes, you know what I mean?
However, that does not get you out. Good point, and I like that you do
Yeah,
that,
you
because that
can't meet
creates
in the middle.
clarity.
Yeah,
And I
you
do
can't
like
meet in
that.
the
If like
middle.
if both parties can't,
You cannot, well, let's not go too far ahead, because this is important, because this is something that you had to deal with. So of course, here we are now, so this list of stuff comes back, and they say that there's all these things wrong with the house, so what's the first thing that the person wants to do? Out. I went out. Wrong. You don't get to go out.
Yeah.
You list all the health, safety, and structural things that are wrong with the house, and you send that ROC back to the agent within 3 days.
of receiving the inspection report.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Never mind what they-
So you send it over. If they say, we're not touching the price, we're not doing any of these repairs, we're not doing anything at all, then you bring it back to your buyer and you say to them, they're not willing to do any of this in order for it to be health, safety, and structural. Is this a cost that you would be willing to absorb? If they say, no, we'll do half of it, you send it back to the agent. We'll do half if you'll do half to try to hold this deal together. What is your ammunition in sending that ROC back to them to get them to do the repairs? Go, run with it.
Anything you disclose to the listing agent that's wrong with the house, they're gonna have to disclose. If it's not with this buyer, the next buyer. So regardless, why don't we keep this deal together now and get it sold?
Yeah.
So why
Keep it
would you
down.
not tell them, look, please tell your client, this is how we're trained. We have a buyer, you know what's wrong with the property, whether it's me or somebody else, you're gonna have to fix it. So why not keep the deal together, fall on the sword and fix it now? Then you go back to your buyer and go, the takeaway from this is, you know that everything's been fixed by a professional with a receipt. So you're getting a house that's gonna be in even better shape than what you walked into. And now, at this point, you don't have anything to be concerned about. You hold the deal together, you put it together, they move to the house, you collect the commission, out you go. Make sense?
Yeah.
That's how that's supposed to go. So you're going to get, and believe me, I've heard it over and over again, between tearing up contracts, between not being able to sleep, between, like, I just can't do it. Like, this is adulthood, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry to tell you this. So it is your job, if those things are falling apart, this is tough love, Mark. It's on you, because you didn't handle it right. And that's what we're here to try to accomplish today. Like, you've got to handle your stuff right. Just because somebody freaks out doesn't mean that that's the end of it. Furthermore, you're not getting paid. So now when you got that person that wants to tear up a contract and run someplace else, you're not getting paid. If you got that person that goes, I can't do this, but I want to see another house, now you work twice to sell one house, twice. Twice as much time, twice as many disclosures, twice as many contracts, twice to get paid once. That may or may not work out in the end because, you know, like it isn't over till it's over. Make sense? Your thoughts?
Absolutely right.
I feel like if you're a good agent, the first thing you do during your buyer consultation is you go over things like that. Like, I feel like if you don't educate them, they don't know. And I'm doing a deal right now that I have closing in January, and I sent over the ROC and the agent was like, oh, well, my guy doesn't want to do anything. I was like, well, now that it's listed, he's gonna have to list it.
And you don't even have a buyer.
And he was like, oh, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
I wanted
So
to
what
cry
makes
a
You're
little
gonna
bit.
have to coach you guys.
Right.
Yeah,
You have
so
to
what's
coach
the
agents
difference, what's the
sometimes.
difference between a strong and a weak agent,
Everything.
right? So I'm pretty sure that your co-brokes aren't doing this
Right.
and getting their butts kicked by the team leader for messing things up. I'm confident. However, that makes you better in the end
Yeah.
because of it. So, as I add to my list, and I'm sorry that this is a little harsh, but it's obviously, it's in support, so don't misconstrue it. Email follow-up. As soon as you do that buyer consult, Marty and I had this discussion over Christmas time. Per our conversation, always, 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 it keeps you out of harm's way. We're in a litigation situation with the real estate board right now. We have everything that we needed because it was in an email form, follow-up. So when we come in and we have to get on the phone with Sue, Cindy, I don't know what her name was, from the real estate board, and she's like hammering us with questions. We're like, yep, got that, yep, got that, yep, got that. We'll send the whole folder over to you. I don't have anything to worry about. That's why we're so picky about making sure that your paperwork is in place. It's protection. So when the office says, we're not paying you because this is not signed, they're not just being jerks. They're
Right.
protecting you in case
Well,
something
that
goes
was,
awry.
that's a situation with the co-broke. The guy said, I want out. Well, actually, he never said I want out. The co-broke had to find him to finally get him to say, no, I don't want to buy the house.
Right.
But he just decided, I'm not buying the house.
So what's gonna end up happening now is, this person that oddly enough was an older gentleman, what are they gonna do to me?
Right.
I didn't put any earnest money down, I did the inspection, I don't want the house, what are they gonna do to me? They're gonna sue your ass, just because you showed up like that. They're gonna go after you for the earnest money, you're probably gonna lose, then they're gonna sue you for all the court costs, and if they really wanna be jerks about it, they could sue you for the difference between what the house sold for and what you offered. And non-specific performance on top of that, which can be in excess of $40,000. Ladies and gentlemen, is it your job to not make them aware that this is what could happen to them? Is it? Now we'll go to the opposite end of the spectrum. So we had somebody who just pulled out, because I can't do it. You know, not mature enough to buy a house, and ended up getting out, got their earnest money back, and is now looking for another house. Like, when does that happen? Talk about dodging a bullet. Okay, so yay, dodge the bullet. Won't happen again, I can tell you, that's your one per year. So don't think that's gonna happen to you, because it won't. So now, here comes more of the cold-hearted ugly. Now you're gonna work to try to deal with all of that stuff, and guess what? You're not getting paid. You're not getting paid for your time. And it's taking you from lead generating something else that you could be cultivating. Because now you're focused on having to sit in an office for an hour and present documentation for somebody that did not do their job. See what this is? So, this is why your systems are so incredibly important. This is why when you guys do something like this, I'm gonna get on you, because like you can't, this is, your time is valuable. You're very good agents. You know exactly what you're supposed to be doing, and you have the resource to check in and go, how do I, what should I, how does this show up? Yes?
Can you go over expireds and getting them renewed in a timely manner for our little situation that happened?
Sure.
I mean, it wasn't our team situation, however, we were in compliance. Can you like explain that to them
Sure.
a little bit?
So, God forbid you have a listing that expires. Okay, first of all, when should you be renegotiating, extending a listing before it expires? How long?
I would say 3 weeks.
30 days. 30 days. If it's gonna expire on January 1st and on December 1st, you better have that conversation. Why? Because if somebody writes an offer on it on December 2nd, you're still gonna have to extend the contract.
Right.
Unless you can get that thing closed in 29 days like the rock star back there in the back row. Okay?
Wasn't me, it was a did.
Whatever it is. So 30 days. So what we discovered is, of course, your ISA department is setting appointments for you. So if something pops up, withdrawn with release. Of course we're gonna call them. It's been withdrawn with release, it's fair game. Let's get one of you amazing agents in there to get that thing closed up and get it under contract, right? So agents let it go, we call on them and they go, wait, that's ours, don't poach us. Wrong. Don't come back to us and make us look like we're unprofessional because you dropped the ball, because you let your listing expire. The status changed on the MLS, and now we're trying to captivate the listing because you're doing a terrible job. So this is what we're faced with, having to spend half a day trying to explain to them, like, no, it went withdrawn on the 21st, we called on the 22nd, and you relisted it on the 23rd. Somebody had to go withdrawn with release. Somebody had to put that in there. It doesn't just automatically populate, right? So somebody did it, and then they'll flip it around and go, you're poaching. Wrong. So how do we avoid this situation? Because now we're solution-based, right? Don't let them expire. Unless, of course, you're letting them go, which you know how Betty feels about that. Don't do that. You save that deal until it gets sold. That's it. So don't allow that. Now, because we are emailing everything, now we have a path of the least resistance to go, no, I have an email that says this, I have a listing that says this on this date, and this is when we called, and this is when it changed. They called the broker. Now, we have to deal with somebody else's incompetence from the desk of the broker. Does this make sense?
Yeah, they complained that we were poaching and we were not. We were certainly in compliance. In our department, we make sure if something is withdrawn and it says no release, we do not call. If it says with release, it is fair game.
Okay, so, good. So now we're gonna get to, so we got to, so is everybody clear on the mold thing? Good, okay.
Well, on disclosures for mold, when we're talking to sellers, and they're like, yeah, okay, I have some mold in the shower that I tiles with.
Write
And
it
they
in,
look at us and say, what should I do?
write it in.
Right?
Yeah, you saw mold in the corner of the shower? Have you cleaned it up with Tilex before? That's common mold. You know, like, is there mold in the attic because you did not vent
Because
it
the black
properly?
mold, the black mold thing is more of a systemic, tear off the wall, you got mold all up in your wall. And that's what people are thinking is this is just a spot on the surface, what's underneath.
All you
God,
really
the
have to
whole
do
house
is-
coming down.
First of all you have to do is just to let them know that every house has mold. And they can either check mold and then do a description, or say that there is not mold present that's inside of like daily normal things, like a shower that got closed
So
up.
pretty much every disclosure should have mold on it. at one
Because
time.
every house has mold, just like every house before 1970
Eight.
has lead-based paint.
Right.
Okay, so just be careful you don't back yourself in the corner, yes.
Some of the issues lie where, and I keep seeing it happen, where the owner who's selling the property never lived there, their disclosures are completely blank and empty. and
So,
I'm saying, not everybody's gonna have it on their
right,
disclosure.
so that's what an inspection is for.
Okay.
So the inspector is going to come in, right? So now the person's in a panic. If it's a good inspector, they'll say, I know what black mold is, that's not black mold. Now, they may not be a mold remediation specialist, but they should have an eye for it. That's what the inspection is for. So even if you've got a blank RPD, residential property disclosure, if it's blank because nobody's lived there before, chances are the person buying the house is gonna have an inspection, right? So they're going to uncover that stuff and then you address it. But when the person goes, oh my God, I can't do it, there's too much mold, like, stop that. Stop it. Don't invest in it. Stop it. Go wait. We don't know what type of mold. We don't know how easy it is to get rid of. Let's do a little bit more research. Then you call the listing agent and say, we found mold in the house, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to have it tested? Are you going to go in and have somebody remediate it and get rid of it and send us a picture, look, it's gone? Like, what are you going to do? But don't dive into that. Don't dive into that. So, when you are entering into a legally binding agreement with anyone, first-time home buyers, senior citizens, people that flip houses, what's your dialogue? I want to know. Speak up. What do you tell them?
Hey, this is a contract, once we sign it, we're fully executed, you are buying a house,
Okay?
just so you know. And I tell a lot of times, if you're gonna plow in this house with cold feet or anything other than for serious, like, structural issues, health or safety, you can lose your earnest money and or potentially down the road, worst case scenario, be sued. Are you aware of this?
Right.
And
So-
I mean, I just say it like that, I'm just like, just so you know, you're buying a house. This is a legal contract.
Start with this, because you don't want to scare somebody away from signing. I know, harsh, but it's true.
I'm not that hot, I mean, it says it, I'm just like, oh, but I'm like,
Right.
hey.
So try this. So when you purchase anything with a contract, whether it's a gym membership, a car, there is that like, what is that, like 36, 48 hours so that you can rescind it and just bring it back in. It's a state law that says, you know what, I changed my mind, I can't do this, whatever it is that you're signing up for. Okay, not in real estate. So there's a really good way of lobbing that up softly. This seems to be showing up now and then, like when you buy a gym membership or if you lease a car or whatever it is, you know, there's a state law that gives you X number of hours that you can just go in and say, hey, I changed my mind, null and void. Like that's just it. That does not apply to real estate. Do you understand how that works? So you're educating them on how the system works, then you can dive into legally binding agreement. Like you can't just change your mind. So you know, going into this, there's no changing your mind in real estate. Then flip it. It is in the best interest of the seller, because how would you feel as though you found your dream house and you're ready to move, you're packing up your stuff, and in the 11th hour, the seller goes, I raised my kids here, I can't move here, I'm not selling you the house. How would that make you feel? So we want to be very, very clear that we're not doing that to somebody else. So as we're looking, all houses have mold, no house is perfect, even in construction. If it works 90% of what's on your list and they're willing to work with us on the repairs, you're buying a house. Do you have any questions? So what do you do then? You have two options. One is self-implemented and the other one is system. What do you do next?
Well, after you're done with the consult for a conversation.
Pardon me?
Once you're done with the consult, whenever you haven't done that, I would have to do prior conversation, email.
Just so we're clear about that you can't change your mind, just so that we're clear that this is not a gym membership, just so that you're clear that the only way that we can get out of this is to not proceed forward and execute this transaction.
I think-
Something like that. What's the other option?
I don't know, I think I was talking to you one day, I think I would like to implement a piece of like paper for like millennials.
Correct.
For buyer consult, like, or anyone buying a first-time home buyer or buying a house, hey, just so you know, here's a little tidbit on what the transaction will look like and your do's and don'ts and your can'ts, and just so you know, I think that'd be a great, like,
And this is so that we can cover up
Yeah.
any problems, questions, or issues so that I can support you on a bigger, higher, greater level. And we're the only team in Northeast Ohio that does this. So please take a moment to read through this so that we're clear. As long as we're clear, I can protect you and nothing is hidden, there's going to be no surprises, and we're very, very clear in how this works. So when they start freaking out because I'm a first-time home buyer and I can't sleep and there's mold, you can slide that piece of paper back and go, this is what we discussed, so let's calm down, catch our breath, and let's work through it. That's kind of how you arm this, because this has happened more than once where somebody comes in, I want to buy this house, I want to buy this house, and they get involved in it, and mommy shows up. Or mommy and daddy says, you're not representing my daughter the way that you should be, or whatever, like wrong. Have no tolerance for that at all. This is adulthood. If you're not adult enough to buy a house, then you shouldn't be sitting on a console, and you certainly should not be showing people things that they're not completely and totally aware. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen, love you more than anything? It's on you. It's you. You have to fix it. You have to make sure that you're clear with your client. That's what makes you a great agent. Not a good agent, not a weak agent, but a great agent. More thoughts about that? I'm on to my last thing. Okay, stay in your lane. You know what that means? When I say stay in your lane, what does that mean?
mind your own business or whatever.
Don't
Great.
Go ahead.
Don't try to be someone you're not and start giving advice on things you're not supposed to, if it's attorney advice or legal advice.
Okay.
or-
What else?
Blinders on, as I call it.
Keep, when I say stay in your lane, so, and this is why we use this metaphor, so I actually think it's really cool. If you're all driving from point A to point B and there's 5 lanes across, and everybody's driving 60 miles an hour, and everybody stays in their lane, are you not all going to get there at the same time?
Yep.
Right. Okay, so if you've got some idiot that's driving too slow because they're on their phone, and you got somebody else that's, you know, going above the speed limit and they're going like this, are you all going to get there at the same time? Chances are you're probably going to get there later, because everybody's infiltrating into everybody else's space. So when somebody says to you, what is this title insurance? You know what, that's the title company, this is why they work for us, you know, here's the phone number, please give them a call, they can explain it to you.
Thank you.
What is, you know, why is my interest rate now locked in and now it's gone up?
I don't know that.
I'm not really sure how that works, because that's the relationship you have with your lender, and your personal finances are personal. So at that point, I would recommend calling the lender. The inspector did not find a bowl of water above the door, and now I have to replace the door. I'm suing you. I'm sorry that that occurred, though I was present but not a participant in the inspection. That is a combination of agreements between you and the inspector. Please call the inspector. Stay in your lane. You can over-service the client and paint yourself into the corner. You know what that means. Like, you don't paint yourself to the door, she can step out. Paint yourself in the corner, you're like, oh God, now I'm stuck. So the intentions are good. They're very, very good, because you want to provide as much resource for your clients as you possibly can. However, it could be to your detriment. So be sure that if it is not related to that contract and your client, if it's one of your other vendors, direct them right to them. Be resourceful, be supportive, but don't try to answer questions that you don't know anything about. Thoughts about that?
Absolutely right. You're right.
Okay, okay. So again, kind of some fierce conversation this morning, but this is what's gonna make you guys great agents. So, lastly, so we did email follow-up, we went over the legal document, better explanation of entering into a contract. Please make that paramount, or it's gonna be an issue, okay? Be careful to stay in your lane. ALC covenant, we'll have to get to that. Okay, so, all in the delivery. When I say all in the delivery, how's that show up? I'll give you an example. I stood up here and wagged my finger at you for 30 minutes. Like, everyone's kind of like, he's a little pissed, he's a little mad, he's kind of getting in our face. Now, if I would have delivered all the exact same information, like, you guys are great, you're awesome, I love you, this is all you have to do, send an email, stay in your lane, like, it's all gonna show up a little bit differently, isn't it?
Yes.
Agreed? Okay, so, there's a reason why I say this,
Please don't.
because I feel like I'm kicking your ass right now. So, in any case, when you are relating to your clients, it's all in the delivery. So somebody, and I'll use the same example, somebody says, I can't buy this house, there's mold everywhere. Now, if I would react to that and go, please, don't worry, every house has mold, I'm sorry. I probably should have explained this to you a little bit better. Like, unless it's black mold, it does not fall in a health factor. Like, it's probably something that can be remediated very, very easily. Let me do a little bit further research, but please, don't let this be a deal breaker, because every house has mold. Okay, doesn't that talk the person off the ledge in less than 15 seconds?
Yeah.
Okay, so these are the things that you have to do when you're talking to your clients. When you're telling them, you're entering into a legal binding agreement. Would it be in your best interest to say, you're entering into a legal binding agreement to protect you? So that when we buy this house and you fall in love with it and you're up at night redecorating the master bedroom, that the seller cannot pull it away from you and go, I'm emotionally attached, I'm not selling you this house. That's what this does. As well as it protects the seller from taking his house off the market and having anybody that's going to come in and try to pull out. Do you see how I did that? The delivery is, this is to help you and protect you so that this does not occur. And it also works in reverse. Do you have any questions about that? So when they start flipping out about, you know, I can't do this. Remember, we had that conversation about a legally binding agreement. Like, this is your agreement, there's signatures on it. The other thing when it comes to removal of contingencies, what is in the first paragraph of your offer to purchase? It's in the first paragraph. It's in big letters, in quotes. What is it? As is. So what is the purpose of an inspection?
Really
Safety instructional.
information for your buyer, pretty much.
Also, what else? Peel back one more layer, people that were just in school. To uncover things you cannot see.
Right,
You also have to make them aware of that.
right, because when you're viewing a home to purchase, you don't go up in the attic to see if there's leaks,
Mhm.
to see if there's, you know, if the vent goes out to the roof, like.
So
it's
Jordan-
always-
Uncover things that you can't see.
You
So
know,
if you
there's things you
see,
can't see.
if you see that there's a crack in the floor, or there's a spot of water, or there's a stain in, you know, the ceiling under the bathroom, you can see that.
Right.
So, but you still want to buy the house even though you see that. Now, we're going to go further to find out where it came from, what happened, maybe to give you a little bit more perspective on purchasing this home. You know, what happened, oh, the toilet leaked, they fixed it, they just never repainted it, and we've got the documentation to prove it. Oh, okay, cool, cool, cool. But I could see that it's there, so you know that there's a problem. Whether it was addressed or not is immaterial at that point. You have to do a little more research. Makes sense? So also keep those basic things in mind. Like, that's what that's for. If somebody can see that the garage is like this, and you still want to buy the house, but you can see it,
Right.
you know, so that might be part of your dialogue when you're meeting your client at the inspection, as to not be a present but not a participant. Do a quick little dialogue. This is to uncover all the things that we did not see before we made the offer. No houses are perfect. Every house built before 1978
78.
has lead-based paint in it. And every house has mold. So his job is to pick the whole thing apart. We're focusing on structural, safety, and health. Do you have any questions? Right? And at that point, what I would do, if I were you, I would let the inspector and the person go, and I would sit down at your laptop, and I would go, per conversation. Right then and there. Send. So it's in their email box when they get the inspection report. Now it's happening at the same time. Isn't that useful, resourceful time? Yes.
Do you feel you have to do that with every single client or certain people? Like, I mean, you can get a feel for how they are, I mean,
I would say, this is what I'm gonna tell you in confidence. Yes. I'm gonna say in confidence, yes.
do it with everyone.
No, I would say
Oh.
feel it out,
Feel it out, okay.
okay? If you're that good, and you are. However, if it bubbles up, then you messed up. You should have told them ahead of time, and now you gotta fix it. And exiting the contract is not an option. It's not an option. It
I
just
think it's
isn't.
just pretty much easy. I mean, I try to do one every, if something, you know, is not going on, you know, like an inspection that day and the next day we're doing this, I try to do one every, like, you know, 2 to 3 days or every week. Hey, this week we talked about this, this, and this. This week we did this, this, and this. This week we did this. If there's none,
Just
you know, if they're a
normal,
normal client, I
Right.
should say normal client, I'll do a weekly or 2 to 3 day per conversation. We did this, we did this, we did this. I have one right now.
Anything that poses a potential discrepancy, Brendan.
I would probably do it all the time, just because even from coming from my construction background, they might tell you they know, they might make you feel like they're very knowledgeable in it, and then the minute something goes wrong, they might turn around.
And if you don't
Buyers
have it,
are-
and if you don't have it in writing, then it becomes my word against yours. If you've got something in writing and there was acceptance and delivery, that is completely factored out.
So are we, because this would make the most sense, are we working on a form that we can use to have them sign in, read it?
Work on a form,
Okay.
bring it to me. It's your job, it's your
Wait, what
business.
kind of form?
We were talking about like a first-time home buyer form, a buying form, being like, hey, you're, you know, pretty much explaining like you're entering in a legal document, you know, no home is perfect. You could, you know.
You can't go, oh, I changed my mind, I'm out.
Would you want the seller to back out? A great example, would you want the seller to back out?
Yeah, we can, I'll bring you back up to speed. So start to draft something. I would recommend keep it simple. You know, and then present it to me, and I'll take a look at it and go, I think this would be great, not great. We don't want to try to hammer people with more, we gotta cover this issue that keeps occurring.
Make it so quick.
Yeah, like, people just can't just go, oh gosh, you know, I wanted to buy a house and now I can't sleep and, you know, please, I need out. Like, no, this is adulthood. So you've got to be very, very conscious of that, particularly when you've got a buyer that's coming to the inspections or showings with mommy and daddy. Okay, like, and oftentimes mommy and daddy are throwing some money at the kid to help buy the house, so they have a very, very prominent voice when it comes to the transaction itself. Who are you supposed to be dealing with?
Just your client.
The name that's on the contract, yes.
Question, mommy and daddy, as part of the down payment financing, mommy and daddy decide they're not gonna put the financing money down, what happens then?
Not your problem. You're a legal binding contract, find the money somewhere else. Find the money somewhere else.
Well, they can't, can they say, well, I don't have the financing now, and the financing fell through, could they have pulled?
They can, but if you didn't button it up ahead of time, like, that's on you. Now you just wasted time. So you make sure that it's clear before that thing's written. And also make sure that you're very clear that the client knows exactly what they're entering into. Okay, what's so funny?
We're laughing because my phone keeps going off. My lender is awesome. He's like, I just sent you 3 emails. I just want to follow up. I just left you a voicemail. I just want to follow up with a text message. I'm like, thank you, Jesus.
Okay.
And my appraisal came in good.
All right, so, to wrap that up, so a lot of fierce conversation. So,
Helpful.
had to happen. Doesn't mean I don't love you more than life itself. However, this keeps coming up, and it is my job to be, you know, conflict resolution based. So please talk a little bit more to your clients. I know that we're in a technology age where we're emailing and texting. Please don't disconnect from good old-fashioned conversation and then follow up with the email. You gotta talk to people. There are too many people that are in real estate right now that they don't wanna talk to anybody. Send a ticket. Can we have a conversation about what the problem is? Like, can you meet me to sign this can you sit down next to me so we can dot loop it on the computer together, so if you have questions, you can't get cold feet when you sign this is not an option, just so you know we're moving forward. Something goes wrong with the house that you're comfortable with, you're not gonna, don't send me MLS listings after we're in contract, like that's done. Like we're past that stage. You've gotta kind of keep your clients in check so that you can give them good service, you can learn yourself, you can collect a paycheck, and you can move on. And now your reputation precedes you. Now all of a sudden cold calls become less and referrals become more. That's the wrap up. Cool? All right, you guys, thank you very much.
See?